What are the chances that your husband or your wife is always going to say everything you want them to say? They're always going to do everything you want them to do. Zero. And if you've been married for a couple years, you learn that pretty soon, that your spouses are human and they're going to do stuff that you look at them like, who did I marry? But when you have an awareness of your thoughts, when you have an intent of what you want your marriage to be, and when you handle those emotions up here, you can approach your spouse, you can approach your partner and communicate in a more effective manner. Now, this is not about becoming a doormat to your spouse where they can just say and do and, be however you want to be. And then you're just this jolly, loving person at all times. But this is about having self-awareness. This is about your partnership and what it is you want for the outcome of this conversation, of this conflict, not getting lost in your thoughts and emotions. I'm going to give you an example of my husband and I. When we first started dating, I think we had moved in together. And so you really learn a lot more about your partner when you move in, because it's not just this, oh, let's go out to dinner, let's go to a movie, let's go to the park. You've seen them all in the high times. Everybody can be fun and games all then. But when you live together, you're seeing all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the fun, the not so fun, how they handle certain things, leaving trash on the ground or whatever it is, whatever things that, we all have our little things. And I had noticed that he would talk to me like an employee. Now, mind you, my husband goes out on tour. He's, the boss of his company. He's the CEO of the company. And sometimes he's responsible for 60 people at a time. So he is, the boss. But I had noticed, he would come home and he would talk to me the same way. And it would make me feel some kind of way. It made me feel less than. It made me feel like I wasn't his equal. And what I know now is what I wish I knew then, is that nobody can make me feel any kind of way. All of those thoughts, all of those emotions come from somewhere inside of me. And what he said just brought it out, but it was there, which means that somewhere within me, I believed that I was less than. I believed that I was not his equal. And that's why when he would talk to me that way, I would just shrink, because I believed it to be true. So when you're in a partnership, there's two things that need to happen when your partner says or does something. The first thing is checking yourself and really discovering, okay, why am I feeling this way? What's really going on with me? Why am I having these thoughts? Really working out yourself. And when you are able to work yourself down and when you are calm, that's when you have your conversation with your spouse. Don't do it when you're angry. Don't do it when your feelings are hurt. Don't do it when you're offended, because you're not going to think clearly. Emotions are irrational. How you respond to your partner is going to be irrational. Handle yourself first. Find that peace. And when you are at that peace, then you can communicate, hey, I notice, when you talk that way, it comes off like this. And I know you love me. This is not your intent behind it, or, let's talk about it if it is. But having this conversation when you are more clear-minded, it sets up your relationship for success, because your person, these are your people. This is your person, can come back at you with more of a rational conversation and let's talk about it. Oh, is that what I sound like? Nope, that was not my intent. Let me reel it in. You just tell me when I'm doing it again, and we can work through this. And that's how you make marriages work, because that stuff's going to happen. I've had clients where they're, a new mom, they're a stay-home mom now. And so, there's always that big identity shift with that. And their husband would come home from work and he would just go straight to the backyard, go watch the game, go have a beer. And she's just sitting there like, well, I've been with my child. I've been with my daughter all day, and that's all I'm doing, and he just comes home and he just goes to the backyard and has his beer and watches his game, and he must not care about me. He must not love me. He must not love us. He must not see that I'm struggling in the house. And because she had that interpretation, that was making their marriage go down. Instead of really realizing, okay, how are you interpreting this action? You are looking at it as, he doesn't love me. He must not care about me. All he did was come home. He said hi to you, and then he went out there. You created that meaning behind it. Because when I talk to him, he's exhausted from dealing with all the people that he has at work, and he just needs a moment to regroup. But if you come to your spouse like, you don't care about us, you just go to the back and you need to have your time, and I'm over here drowning at home and all of that stuff, well, what's going to happen? How is he going to respond? How is a man going to respond? He's going to shut down, and he's not even going to want to have this conversation. But if you check your emotions and you say, okay, I'm clearly feeling some kind of way and I am struggling, let me have this conversation with my husband in a more clear-minded state. This is why I say, and I know this is really controversial and a lot of people don't agree with me, but I tell people, go to sleep mad. Go to sleep pissed off. I know people say, like, don't go to sleep mad. You like, go, work out, even if it's 3 or 4 hours, work it out. One thing that I know for sure is fighting while you're emotional. And then when you're tired on top of that is a recipe for disaster. But if you go to sleep, your mind can calm down. And when you wake up, you can have a rational conversation. But you trying to do that stuff all night. I know my husband, he clocks out at like 9 o'clock at night. I can barely have a conversation about what the kids were doing because he's exhausted. And if I come up in there and try to fight him at 9 o'clock, he's really going to zone out. And I don't know what's going to happen. So yes, go to sleep mad, have the conversation when your mind is together. That's what you have to find. So that's what I find so intriguing, because it's not really about what you guys are talking about. It's still going to be there. The conflict is still there. It's still out there. This is the mind. The mind is what's changed. So allow the mind to get it together. You handle the mind, and then you address it. This is how you save marriages. It's learning how to handle yourself, handling your emotions, handling your thoughts, learning about why you are thinking and feeling the way that you do. And it makes it a lot more easier to handle the mind.